After many, many moons, I am finally recording myself, watch myself, play two different people for an African dialogue interview. Let's get to it.
It's given she's a professional. She could ask questions. She's a true journalist.
For those of you who don't know, I studied journalism. And this is ridiculous. I already hate it. I am going into this blind. I haven't watched this video at all since I shot everything and edited it and then also lost the footage. Hello there, gangs and girlies. Welcome back to my non-existent YouTube channel. And on today's episode of filming myself do random things with the tripod my friends got me for Christmas 2025, Africa in Dialogue is 10 in 10 today. My God! Wow! Well, not today, this year of 2026. And to celebrate this auspicious occasion, they reached out to us. For those of you who don't know, I am a senior editor with Africa in Dialogue. And they reached out to us and said they are doing a project in which they want to create like an audio library of the interviews they have up on their website. So they contacted me and said, hey, could you like record yourself doing a video reading one of your favorite interviews that's on our page? And because I like to suck my own,
don't you dare say that.
I decided to do the interview, my own interview. I was interviewed for African Dialogue in 2020. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing today. And in a complete show of lunacy and ambition, I will shoot the video, edit it, and then do a reaction video about how I think of my answers 6 years later. Let's get to it. Yeah, this was actually really maniacal of me because I ended up like losing the footage. So I had to like reshoot certain parts, but like I didn't want to commit that much to the bit. And like, yeah, I thought I'd do this all in a day, but it's actually been like 2 weeks. Anyway, welcome everybody to this very real interview with Tamanda Kanjaye. Might I just say, like, the costume department needs like an actual raise. Jaliya the Bird couldn't be here with us, and so you're stuck with me for this interview. Thank you once again, Tamanda, for accepting this interview. I am delighted to share this space with you. In your bio for the Kalahari Review, you mentioned being interested in concepts of death, human destruction, broken souls, misery, and the idea of possible redemption. I'm excited to hear more about this. What compels you to such concepts? My goodness, wow. Oh god, I'm cringing badly. But like, might I add, this is like one of the things I had to reshoot, and that's why there's like such a discrepancy between how I look in this how I look in this shot and how I look everywhere else. I edited it, but then like I lost the footage somehow after I already edited it. It's a whole thing. And then I had to memorize this particular section because I couldn't borrow the phone I was using to read the interview. So like you guys should go and cross check if that's what the actual question is, but like the gist is there. I believe life has made me a very like sad and cynical person, you know what I'm saying? People always tell me to look for the bright side, but I feel like I do quite the opposite. Dark, sad, and painful stories make the best ones, if you ask me. They expose the raw goriness of humanity. Regardless though, there's still some light patches in all the dark, and I guess a romantic part of me does love the idea of a good redemption arc.
Hello, Zuko here.
That's great. By the way, I'm not sure if I'm still like quite cynical. I actually don't think I'm a cynical person as much these days, but I still like really like greedy and dark stories. Yeah. Life has made me a very sad and cynical person. I know something about that. For a very long time, I saw my bad experiences as baggage until I find myself being able to connect with people in a particular way. And so the proverbial wisdom in pain and scars and I began to interpret my baggage as weight, the weight of who I am. There's nothing pretty about experiencing things that grind us or break our spirit, but it's beautiful to provide comfort for people in a way that surpasses empathy through our experiential knowledge. We are also able to keep ourselves going based on our track record of survival, and this is a fabulous redemption story.
Hello, Zuko here.
You speak of the raw goriness of humanity, and I want to know two things. Number one, how do you tackle ugly truths? In his interview with Edith Ayotunde, honestly speaking, I should have like searched how to say that name by now, but like I forgot. So sorry for butchering that name. Oh, and if you like hear sounds in this like segment of the video, it's because like after I lost footage, I had already kind of like started editing this video and like saved certain parts. So like a lot of things just got like a lot of things are just everywhere, honestly speaking. Just like oh man, just power through. Milawa says one of the advantages of fiction is one's own experiences or controversial opinions with characters. Do you find yourself speaking through characters when you want to express something dark or shameful? Or do you come right as yourself? And secondly, all of this requires a lot of transparency and honesty. Please talk to me about your relationship with vulnerability and truth-telling. Minus like Jaliya the Bird not actually having a mustache. I just want to add that like she's such a great interviewer. She knew her stuff, and I think like throughout the interview, as the interview kept going on, I started having longer answers because I was thinking my short answers weren't doing like her justice, and to get somebody to really like open up, I think that was really good. I really loved the questions she asked me this day, and I felt really dumb answering, to be honest. I think I use my characters to express my experiences and then experiment with different reactions and situations that come from them. And sometimes I try to think of scenarios I have never experienced and how I would react to them. I use my characters to explore the multitudes and dynamics of life and emotions. I definitely use characters and words to say things I wouldn't have said outside the story or the writing. Sometimes I say them first on paper and then I'll say them in real life. I swing like a pendulum between oversharing and shutting down like a clam. I try my best to be as honest as possible and ask things, but I'm also aware of how I lied by omission 1,000 times and how I let certain things live and die only inside me. I'm pretty sure I said that whole I swing like a pendulum thing just to be pretentious. I do love that I said it, but like I think I was just trying to be like really smart, and I take back what I said. I don't think I was actually being that dumb in this interview, but like it's interesting to see myself do certain things and kind of know what that's what Tamanda Kanjaye was doing. You get what I'm saying? I love this bit about you saying things on paper first and then real life. What are some of the things writing has brought out in you? What have you learned about yourself through writing? I think writing made me realize that I was a very angry person on the inside. Angry, slightly troubled, and definitely sad. But at the same time, while showing me these aspects of myself that I didn't know, it also offered an escape and some release, exposed my trauma and gave me therapy if I want to be all weepy about it. And I do be wanting to be weepy about situations. I'm actually breaking the fourth wall there. Because like no, that's not what the interview says. I just really wanted to say it as I was reading it. It's like, yeah, I truly do be weepy. Still kind of sad, still very angry. So like, yeah, this holds. I am thankful for how writing can be conversations we have with ourselves. I hope that writing compels you to dialogue with yourself in a way that's valuable, even when it reveals anger and sadness. Speaking of conversations and therapy, you wrote God Grief at Me, a poetic dialogue by, and you scratch it out, replacing it with Tamanda Kanjaye. What's your viewpoint on this distinction, and why was it necessary to bring this outlook to this particular work? This work in particular is like very personal to me. A little expositions, I grew up Catholic, I am Catholic. though more agnostic than anything. And that's to say, I do believe in the Christian God. I just don't agree with his word most times. That's actually, I think, a quote I stole from Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's crazy. My friend tells me this name like every other day, but like I still don't know how to pronounce it. My God, I think it says something along the lines of, "I do not doubt the existence of a God. I just rebel against his world, and I just kind of like fit it in there." But like, yeah. Also, ignore the boobage. You see them on screen soon. I like kind of like try to hide them out with like just drawing white all over it. But again, when I lost the footage, things moved around. So it's just gonna like pop up somewhere. Sometimes I'm also open to finding out about other gods, and sometimes I just feel it's the universe. In this piece in particular, God, like in God given me, the God refers to the design, things outside our control that happen around us. Reading is hard, guys. I keep breaking the fourth wall, but whoa. But yeah, reading is hard, and so is pronouncing words. I also can't spell, but like, let's go on. Anyway, I wrote this piece on the way to a funeral. I had lost someone dear to me, and I couldn't bring myself to cry. I felt numbed out, and all I could think about was why, God, why? How much more from me, can you take? Have you not taken it all? I already knew I wasn't going to cry that day. My relationship with grief is a tricky one. I don't feel it then and there. Most times I try not to. My relationship with God is strained. Half the time I don't dwell on either. But I'm learning that sometimes you have to accept things as they are. Let God be God and allow yourself to cry. I quite like that answer, to be honest. Nothing more to say there. It's good to explore religious beliefs. Test what you believe in. I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you are recovering from it. Thank you for this. I also enjoyed your other collection. Some would call it paper mache. How did it come about? Funny thing about paper mache is that it's years in the making. I wrote paper hearts when I was like 16, about 5 years ago, and paper castles when I was 18. When I wrote paper castles, I thought I'd write a compilation and then call it paper castles. And I knew I wanted paper hearts to be part of it. I knew that each poem in the compilation would be paper something, but didn't know exactly what. I always wanted to write a poem called Paper Tigers, and I knew it would tackle abuse given the meaning of a paper tiger. But I didn't write it just then. So for 3 years, I thought about what I could put in the collection, what I wanted it to be, and kept shelving it ever so often. Fast forward 3 years later, I was fresh out of college under lockdown and had done almost 2 years, had gone actually almost 2 years without writing anything worthwhile. And I decided I wanted to write paper castles. But the title didn't fit. I thought maybe paper worlds, but it didn't portray the versatility of what I wanted to write. I wanted to write a collection without a theme or subject, but which came together well. Something malleable but pretty. Like all the things people make from paper mache. It's one of my best titles, that one. That's how the title came, really. Not grand, just from intense thinking. The poems came one by one, as they always do. A lot were scrapped off. I have one which was called Paper Gods, but didn't come together as I had hoped. I also originally wanted like the collection itself to be longer, but how many times can you use paper in a title, really? Each has their own little meaning, by the way. As you can see, the white things I was talking about, I tried to do to just like show up randomly in this segment of the video. Yeah. Until date, paper mache remains one of like my favorite projects ever. I haven't read it in a while though, because there are just some things that are a bit amateur, if you ask me, juvenile a bit. But then like, I think it's a solid collection of work. I don't even know what words I want to say, but I think it's solid. And you can get a copy on my website. Insert self-advertising here. Congratulations on your very fitting title, Paper Mache. I like what you did with Paper Tigers. It reminds me of another poem of yours, which also stayed with me. Paint Scars. I think you're skillful in being concise and profound. Simple yet meaningful. You describe yourself as a writer of micropoetry. What draws you towards this style of writing? Am I correct in the analysis I have made? As in, you know how to say a lot with few words? And does this choice have something to do with what you mentioned earlier about swinging like a pendulum between oversharing and shutting down like a clam? Is it something you started doing because you wanted to bear yourself and simultaneously be private, encrypted? How did this style come about for you? Furthermore, why have you continued to write like this? I have read collections from 2017, 2019, and 2020, and I see micropoetry as your signature, something you've been doing for quite a while. As I said, as you can see, Jaliya makes like reference to the pendulum comment yet again, which is amazing. Like I don't know how it happened on WhatsApp, yeah, whatever. But like the way she was connecting aspects is like really good. If you ask me, I don't think I could do that, and I have a whole degree in journalism, so like I don't know, man. Well, I try to say a lot in few words as well. I try my best not to meander, especially since my poetry is for reading. I need to be able to captivate my audience and keep them there until the end. I think some of the things, especially the things I talk about, can be easily said in a few lines as possible for like best delivered. I think short and concise also says a lot about me. I'm straight to the point. I don't give out more information than necessary, and I don't usually whine, but I do overshare. Short and concise does say a lot about me. Have you seen my height? I want to be standing up, but I'm like 5 foot, I think, at best. Yes. Very fitting answer. Sometimes I'll like get way into character, and one of the parts is here because like, what do I mean? Yes. Very fitting answer, and like right before that, even the way I acted, like I don't know what's going on. What do you consider oversharing? And how do you happen to overshare when you are quite straightforward and deliberate with what you're saying? Do you perhaps get attached too quickly and then that builds the rapport that allows you to share much too soon? I don't think it's about building rapport per se. Mind you, I pronounced rapport 2 different ways in like this segment. What? I think it's more about offering like exposition, context, and authenticity. People relate to a good story, and I am a storyteller. I think it's more for exposition and understanding, providing them with something to relate to. Most of the things I stand for, that I write, I can personally relate to and have experienced in one way or another. I think it gives meaning. And then I get intense and realize, oh, maybe that was a bit too much. Sharing is hard because it requires you to allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's basically giving someone ammunition to hurt you if they want it. Humans aren't always gentle and kind as you wish. Man, I'm just saying things. They sound really smart, like to be honest, but like I just trying to keep up with Jaliya, but I think this is like a good answer. I still don't think like humans are that like nice, to be fair. I do know a lot of nice ones, but like just look at the general state of the world at this point. Agreed. I also find myself stepping outside of my comfort zone in order to tell a story effectively. When the story demands a bit of exposure and context, I'm the type to open my heart to set the scene. Like you say, sharing requires vulnerability, and it's hurtful when people use what we have shared against us, or when they respond in a way that makes us wish we hadn't said anything. Speaking of responses, you have taken part in various competitions. In 2017, you were a finalist for the inaugural Penn Avenue Malawi short story competition. In 2019, you were a runner-up for the Malawian poetry competition. Your writing has also been featured in a couple of places, like Robin Barrett's ninth collection of poetry and prose. It's titled "The Elements," a collection of poetry and prose on earth, air, water, and fire. And you were also featured in the same 2019 in the Afro-Young Adult Anthology, Birds on the Lake Shore, which took you to a week-long workshop in Rwanda in 2019. In this universe of competitions, features, publications, and workshops, I believe your work often receives critique. How do you deal with critique? How has it shaped your craft? How do you deal with the negative feedback? And how do you deal with no feedback at all? We've all been there. You make a submission and don't hear anything from the publication, or look at your audience and see blank expressions. again, and I'll continue saying this through this interview. That is amazing. Like on Jalia's part, how did we like just switch? How are we now talking about critique? And mind you, this is like a topic that I truly enjoy talking about in the writing space. And I think, well, we'll hear my answer shortly, but I don't think my views on critique have changed that much. So yeah, let's go. Water birds on the lake shore, as it was marketed. As I'm reading here, in brackets, it's written laughs. So let's try again. Water birds on the lake shore is as it was marketed. Ha 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 ha. I should stop breaking the fourth wall. What's this? The first, the first anthology of African young adult fiction by African writers in recent history. It has 17 uniquely told stories that deal with a myriad of issues from family to war to loss to sexuality. My story, in particular, A Change in Sleeping Arrangements, is featured in there. At first, it was purely a hard copy, but now it is available on Okada Books and Amazon. I absolutely love critique, good, bad, or ugly. The idea is to learn from it. I feel I need to hear all sorts of critique from my work because it helps me grow as an artist. One thing I've learned from the years is that if you allow yourself to be critiqued, excuse me? One thing I've learned from the years is that if you allow yourself to be critiqued, the more you learn which ones to listen to. In that sense, what I mean is that sometimes someone will tell you that you need to change something about your work, and sometimes you stop and think, oh, okay, this is correct. And sometimes they say something and you say, nah, that's not what I'm trying to do. When I was in Rwanda, the workshop was there to critique our work. I got peer reviews on how my work was lacking, and don't get me wrong, it hurts to be told that your work is lacking, but those are the things you need to hear more than your work is good. Anyway, the facilitator, who was literally the main editor of the book, told me to edit a crucial plot point, and I was able to defend my work and say very politely that I don't agree with her because that wasn't the essence of the story. I literally thought my story wouldn't be selected for the anthology after that. But after a bit of time, I got the invite and the news that I made it through the final cut. When it comes to negative feedback, I won't lie and say I always deal with it as a pro. Sometimes someone will tell me it's bad and I'll go and whine and cry like a child. But I believe the negative feedback has been more constructive than positive feedback because one, it helped me develop thick skin and taught me to be a better writer. And two, by teaching me which ideas I should incorporate. I think most writers, when told that their work isn't ideal, rush too quickly to defend it. The best thing is to ask in what ways it isn't. And that's when you get comments like it's too passive, the main character is unrealistic, blah, 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 blah. It's also important to note that some people won't give such detailed feedback, and it's up to me to find out how to fix things. In the words of some guy I can't remember, art is never complete, just abandoned. My work can always be better, even if it wins the Nobel Prize in Literature, maybe one day. In brackets again, last, so ha ha ha. What is wrong with me? Anyway, I think it's always crucial that as an artist, I critique myself as well, continuously. And then also learn when I'm done. Accept that although it can be better, this is the best I can do and move on. But above all, critique lets me know my But above all, critique lets me know my work more. I've learned to fine-tune which feedback actually applies to my work and which doesn't. Some people think they know what they're trying to communicate better than you do. And if I hadn't learned what exactly it is that I was trying to say with each piece, I would have found myself falling under the trap of listening to every single critique and morphing my work into something I didn't intend for it to be. No feedback to me is the worst, as in like getting no feedback. If I could, I'd press everyone to get back to me on what they think of my work. I'm always left wondering, did they read? Did they pay attention? Was it so bad that they're left speechless? Was it so spectacular that I've stunned them into actual silence? I can never know. What I do know is that there will be other audiences and publications that will give me feedback. The key is to learn to move on and not always dwell. Otherwise, I'll forever be stuck in one place. I definitely do not wish to be a stagnant writer. That was actually quite a long reply on my part. I think in summary, I'm saying people should learn to take critique. I still stand by that. And that negative feedback kind of like pisses me off. I mean, not pisses me off, but it does frustrate me. Still true to date. I would love if people would like talk about my work, but maybe that's just like me being like self-centered or something. And yeah, I'd like to hear what people thought about it, good, bad, the ugly. But most times I feel like people don't want to hear the bad nor the ugly, and maybe we should work on that as writers, you know. Yeah, there's something else. Oh, let me like Google for you guys real quick. Who said that quote? I was supposed to do that like before right now. Let's see. Art is never finished. Who did say this? Leonardo da Vinci? Is this true? I am looking at the AI overview, which I shouldn't, but like, let me check. Man, who said this? Yeah, it's attributed to Leonardo da Vinci. I didn't know. I didn't know then, and I will most likely forget 6 years later. I found out who it is, but I'll forget. So, anyway, let's get back to it. Thank you so much for these words. I love the part about genuinely pausing and thinking about the ways in which our work is lacking. It's something I embrace wholeheartedly, but I'm also a firm believer in analyzing what feedback applies to me, as you've rightfully noted. This takes me back to a story I wrote when I was 15, and a friend of mine advised me to change a word I used to describe a particular character. He said it invited the reader to disrespect the character. I replaced the word and it just didn't sit well with me. 2 days later, for about 45 minutes, I explained why I needed to use the word I had originally chosen. This was because I understood what you have said here, that we should ensure that we tell the story we wanted to tell. Thank you for telling your stories and in a way and style that is true to your intent. Still on critique, what are your comments on being the one providing critique and feedback? What has your experience been like? I love how like I didn't break character with the whole mustache thing. Like on most questions, I did it. I don't know, guys. This has made me have a lot of enemies in my field. What enemies?
My enemies are after me.
A lot of people say art is subjective and whatever, and as long as someone is doing it, it's all that matters. And as much as I wholeheartedly agree that nobody can stop the masses from liking what they like, as in, yeah, people just like whatever, it is still possible to judge what is good writing and what is not. I've read tons of Wattpad cliches that I thoroughly enjoyed, more than I should. But I'm also very aware that it was bad writing, because the reader in me and the writer in me are different. That being said, a lot of people have come to me seeking advice. Most times I ask whether they write as a hobby or as a career, because then I know what I'm dealing with. I try not to be brutal, but I do try to be honest. I don't just award people just because they merely participate in the craft. Writing is hard, it takes learning. Like any skill, it takes honing as well. I've said it before, people can always get better at writing, at anything, if they're willing to look past pride and defenses and just listen to critique. Most people like to call me out when I critique work of literary merit such as Tamanda or Whoopi or Upi Tisale or Roxanne Gay or Tavia Butler. But I think it suffices to say everyone's taste level is usually higher than their own skill. Do these women write 100 times better than me? Definitely, absolutely. Does it mean I can't critique them? I'd like to think I can. It's about learning and like relearning. People take writing for granted. They say it's a talent, which to an extent it is, but writing can be taught. Writing is my talent, but it's not my talent alone that has gotten me this far. I had to learn. And if someone is willing to learn, I am always willing to like help them as best as I can. Now in the age of AI, I actually think like this answer is a bit more not poignant, relatable. I have no idea what word I want to use, but like I think it's more like important. Goes on to say the word which I should have used, because like people don't want to be told that they could be better, so they plug it into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT tell them like really nice things about their work. And this brings me to a conversation I should have really like paid attention to when the Brito paper like covered it, about having like the impassioned, I think, editor, or like the editor who doesn't care about your work, and whether AI could do that. I don't know how that conversation ended, but like I personally think the human eye especially for people who are good writers and good editors who always surpass these machines that kind of like regress everybody to the mean. They kind of take away like the not nuances, but let me just say the nuances, the intricacies of like individual writing. People don't usually ask me now to critique their work, and I think that's because I now kind of lay low as a writer, especially in Malawi. The scene here is a bit, and there are many poets that I also know, so there's also that. And I prefer to write prose. I'm just winding on and on, but like, yeah. If people still want my critique, I give them as honestly as I can. Try not to be brutal, but like sometimes you just have to tell somebody their work isn't that good, but they could get better, at least on a technical level. Not sure how I can help anybody who's looking for storytelling at like a creative level and like new ideas. So yeah. So well put. I saw your name in the credits of a Mott McDonald video about soil erosion and the need to take the necessary measures to prevent agriculture failure in Malawi. Miss Camera Assistant Tamanda Kanjaye, are you telling me to expect a movie from you in due time? Through what other mediums do you explore your creativity? What are you interested in exploring? I would love to experience your mind outside the written world. I sometimes sketch. I wish I knew how to do graphic designer things and illustrate my own books. I also wish I drew more sometimes. I used to want to get into film and short movies at a certain point, but more motion graphics, animation stuff. I have so many ideas on how to conceptualize my poetry through animated films. I still have the ideas on how to like conceptualize a lot of things through like film. I'm trying. This is kind of a lie. I would love to get into stop motion. I would still like to like shoot stuff. I would like to work with people. Since this interview, I have helped a friend of mine check out DDT, Daniel the Trindard, director Daniel the Trindard, shout out. What am I saying? Anyway, I have worked to help my friend like write a screenplay for something, and all the best with him for that. And I hope it like comes into like fruition. But like on my own part, yeah, I still think about other mediums. I wanna teach myself how to draw because I've written a book, some really fun romance thing, and I'd like to have like an Instagram page whereby I draw my own characters. So, yeah, this is wonderful. I did pick this up from your Instagram page and your poetry collections. Some poems were laid out in an interesting way. You don't just communicate in written form or verbally, but you also speak visually. P.S. What you did with redacted because I no longer talk to them. Fourth wall break again, like number what now? But like I no longer talk to the people who did who illustrated the book of mine. Not the best people, but then like whatever to them. But like they did illustrate like this really cool book of mine. Why he said it's fire is because it's actually the micro poetry is called Through Hellfire, and it was actually quite nice to be fair to them. So. Is fire, pun intended. And this is something I enjoy about you. I love how creative you are. What's keeping you from exploring design and graphics and all the other cool things you want to do with your poetry and stories? To be honest, the task seems daunting. Learning a new skill from scratch is hard. My friends tell me the basics, but most of them are too busy to teach me. I'm tired and lazy to put in as much desired effort as I'd like. Yeah, but then like now I'm still tired, but I'm no longer lazy. I just need to find time. I do want to like explore other mediums to like tell the stories I'm already telling. So watch the space, I guess. Fair enough. However, I do hope you still explore these things and use the mediums you want to, even if you won't be the one executing the tasks yourself. Partner with people in the field and make it happen. I hope to one day do it, honest to God. I have actually partnered with people in the field. So for example, I have books, soft, paper mache. My friend illustrated them for me. Shout out, Ziko Motugula. But like, what am I doing? But then anyway, yeah, shout out to him. He illustrated for me, and he's also going to illustrate another book of mine. But yeah, I think I do look for more partnerships. Maybe I might shoot a film with some of my other friends. Who knows? We'll see. Splendid. So very splendid. As we wrap up now, I would love to know what you have been up to these days. Are you working on anything you would like to share? No. Yes, actually. I've been writing slower than I thought I'd go, but at least I'm doing it. I'm working on a short story collection called The Glass Box, which will feature maybe 10 to 12 short, simple stories about girls, their families, their friends, and their lovers. The other is a collection of poetry called Candlelight. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever written, actually. It's a collection about abuse, divided into 3 parts. Nightfall, which talks about abuse as it is. Open Wounds, which talks about the trauma from experiencing it. And Candlelight, which talks about how people heal in their own little ways. It's called Candlelight because most people expect there to be sunrise after nightfall. And as much as we all strive for that, abuse changes us. And healing is hard. And sometimes the best anyone can do is light a candle to take them through the night. It actually sucks because I think I sort of like soft gave up on Candlelight. I had a phone where I was writing everything and then like I kind of lost it. Like my phone just stopped working. I should have been backing this up at Google Keep, Google Docs, Google anything honestly. But like I kind of lost them. I still have some of the poems. I remember them from my head, but some are gone and I think I lost motivation. As for The Glass Box, that is 6 years in the making. I did suffer a writer's block and I stopped writing for it. But then I dusted it out and said, yeah, I'm going to write some short stories this year and get some published if I can, and then include them in The Glass Box. As I record this, I think Umwali, I hope that's how you pronounce it, from Zambia has published The Rain Falls Softly Here, which is going to feature in The Glass Box. I'm going to get published by Brittle Paper for my short story Speed, which is also like in The Glass Box. Davos Cord won first place in the Makiwana 2025 competition. I'm going to feature A Change in Sleeping Arrangements, which was in Waterbirds on the Lake Shore. So I think this year it's actually coming together because I'm also looking at the stories that I didn't finish. All the stories I've mentioned right now, I revisited and started polishing them up again because I do still want to publish The Glass Box. And I feel like they're now better. I'm revisiting some stories which I just wrote like maybe a sentence, like half of it, and just trying to complete them. So yeah, 6 years later, I thought I'd give up on this project halfway through, but then I've picked it up again. So let's see where that goes. Oh, this sounds like a treat. Thank you for endeavoring to tell these stories. And thank you so much for availing yourself to have this conversation with me. It was such a wonderful time. I wish you luck with your upcoming projects. I also wish you growth and the courage to keep finding out what you have inside you. I definitely do not wish to be a stagnant writer. From your lips to the universe, let it be. I actually slapped with that one. I don't wish to be a stagnant writer. Oh, snap for me, guys. What? It was nice talking to you on this as well. Now that the serious bit is done, I'd like to get to know you too, since you know all my guts. Absolutely. Let's go for virtual coffee. Look at Africa in dialogue. Genuinely connecting writers. So that abruptly cuts. I think there was something funny I said at the end of that video, but I lost that footage too. Me and Jaliya have not met for coffee yet, but hopefully one day we will, and hopefully it won't be virtual. Otherwise, that's it. Done reacting to my own video. However, the way I did this was just like I'm in headset, so I can only listen to my video through headsets, and then I'm talking directly into this phone. I don't know how I'll be able to sync the time, but like, let's see. You've been with me, Tamanda Kanjaye, your host. See you next time on I don't know what, but like, yeah. Bye.